Kathy Porter,
Here.
Sue DeCharme,
Here.
Ken Ewer, here, Michael O'Connell.
O'Neill.
I'm sorry, O'Connell, I am so sorry, O'Neill. All right, we have a quorum.
Therefore, I call to order the Board of Adjustment for the City of Guthrie on February the 20th, 2020. And I believe the first order of business will be a reading of the minutes from the last meeting. I have here, I can read them off for you if you like, it's short.
I see it. I see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was included in the first packet.
And I read them. And if everyone has, I move that we accept them.
I second the motion.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Minutes of the previous meeting on January 16, 2020 are hereby approved. The next item on the agenda, I believe, would be public comments. Are there any that are pertinent to this evening's agenda?
Is there anyone there that would like to make a comment before we begin?
You also have the opportunity on the agenda item as well, if you'd like.
That was just,
Yeah,
that was just a general request.
yeah.
All right, then I would move to item 4 on the agenda, which is the Board of Adjustment Application 20-001. Discussion and potential action on a request for a variance to Section 4-423, paren K, close paren 6, close paren B, close paren, to allow for the total number of accessory structures to be increased from 2 to 3, and a variance to Section 4-423, paren K, close paren 11, close paren B, close paren, to allow for the total square footage of accessory structures on the property be increased from 3,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet, and allow a new accessory structure to exceed 50% of the ground level square footage of the principal residential structure on a greater than 5-acre property located at 6217 South Sooner Road. We have a staff report that I believe we have all read. It is, at this point, time for discussion and a presentation by the property owner regarding the request for the variance. Is there anybody representing the property owner or the property owner present this evening?
See, you get to talk after all, don't you?
Thank you guys for coming up here. And
I'm wanting to build another shop, so sun's just tearing up my vehicles, and so I'm trying to put everything under cover to protect it, lawnmower, stuff like that, and so that's why I'm needing to build that other one. And it's gonna be so far off the road that nobody's ever gonna see it back there, because it's gonna be on the back part of the 5 acres. That's all I have to say to you. Thank you.
Wait,
Sir, we may have some
now
questions for you.
now we get to talk.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you get to it on your property, or is
Yes.
there a road running alongside of it?
No, I have full access to it.
So you'll go
the
behind
front
the
gate,
structures you've
yes.
got now?
Yes, ma'am.
Back to it, okay?
Am I just looking at this wrong? Because this says you're increasing it from 3,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet. We're talking about accessory structures on the property. Is that total square footage?
Yeah, because the current accessory structures ordinance has a maximum square footage for a particular property. As it indicated in the staff report, there's 2 scenarios that determine the amount you can have. One is based on acreage and the other one is based on the livable area of the primary structure. In this case, the amount that would be allowed for the property per the 50% rule would be 978 square feet, or around 900 square feet. But even by the table, if we went by the land use table, that is there, the amount of square footage that's being requested would still exceed that. So it's kind of, again, a variance to both. But like I said, in any case right now, 3,000 is the most the code would allow.
Ken?
And right now, your total square footage is 1,600 square feet. Is the way that is the square feet in your two existing buildings.
I'm not for sure what they're calling two existing buildings. I know I have one shop, which is 1,200
Yeah, but the
square foot.
carport, it counts as an accessory structure, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's approximately 400 square feet from what I could tell, and then the other is, yeah, around a 1,200 square foot shop, so for around 1,600 total right now.
How far is that new shop gonna be from the property line? That,
20 foot from the north side of the property line, approximately 100 foot from the west side,
That-
and somewhere around 300 and some foot from
the short side is 20 foot,
the
that's
short side's 20
the
foot.
north side, yeah, thank you. Are there any utilities that run through there?
No, there's not.
Anybody else? Because I have a couple.
Go ahead.
You said that you wanted to put equipment undercover.
Yes.
What equipment are we talking
I've
about?
got a Dodge pickup, that's my farm truck that I pull my camper with, and it's just baking the paint off that. I've got a Z71, that same thing, it's baking it off. I got a bass boat and a couple of airboats, and so I'm needing to cover everything because the sun is killing it. I have a rebuilt pickup that's in my current shop now, and I've got a 59 Plymouth Suburban that I'm gonna restore, and so I don't have room to move one to work on the other one. The 68 estimated value is 72,000, and I can't leave it outside to be able to restore the other one. And so I'm wanting to put,
Time to take your wife's car out of the garage.
I'll be living out on the road.
I was going to suggest you think carefully about that.
Right.
So none of this is business equipment?
No.
You're not running a business from the
No,
property?
I'm not.
Okay. My next question is, what type of material do you contemplate using building the shop?
I have got a bid for an engineered building from Indico Metal, so it would be an engineered structure.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but he would have to come back with a new variance request to erect a metal building within the city limits.
There's a couple parts to that. One, if you're in the overlay, you cannot have metal. If you're outside the overlay, you can have metal. You can't have a corrugated metal. There's some restrictions even on the metal. If I remember correctly, and I apologize because I didn't look that clearly, but I believe he is in the overlay, which would prohibit metal.
My concern here is that the granting of this variance request would lead to
Yep.
an additional variance request
Right.
to erect a metal building, and at that point, however the board members may be leaning on this variance request, I can pretty much tell you that they would be leaning to a no on a metal building.
Yes. Whenever I first came up and talked with Mr. Caskus about it, and we did look that up, I was not in the area.
Okay, then I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I said, I honestly didn't look, because down Sooner Road, it is a narrow band in that, so if we did look it up, then it's metal. Again, it can't be corrugated metal, but it can have a metal exterior per our code.
By metal band, narrow band, I'll get this out, by narrow band, you're talking about from a property line back?
If it
Or
would,
is it, are we talking about Sooner Road and all properties on either side?
Yeah, because we look at it literally as an overlay to where if, even on the property, if the front half of the overlay falls in, but the back half doesn't, the back half you're, outside the overlay, thus you could have the metal towards the back. Because it really wasn't put forth that the property in its entirety it was based on the actual lines of the overlay. So in some cases, you could have a property that splits that. So if you put it on the portion of the property that doesn't fall within the overlay, you can have metal. If you put it on a portion that falls in the overlay, you cannot have metal.
I don't think I've ever seen the overlay, and I don't need to see it now, but could you
Yep.
provide that to us?
Yes, I can.
Email it.
Yeah, because it was part of the original ordinance in that, because there was basically a north-south and then an east-west, and the one was around Division down Sooner. The other portion was east-west along Noble, and then in the northeast part, in and around where the temple is, and that area was another overlay. So there's actually 3 different, as it's called out in the ordinance.
Do you know who owns that property just to the north of you?
Yes, Jim,
You do?
Jim Reeser does, yes.
Okay. Here.
I have no further questions for the applicant. Does anybody else?
No, I wanted to see one thing. Where is that? Do you- I'm looking for the one that shows his, right, that's the one I'm looking for, I guess. That's just his property. There's one that shows where he's putting it.
Oh, the one where he shows he's putting it?
Yeah, there's
I think it
a
was just
site plan.
Yeah, I have that. There it is, right here. So,
I know I had that, and I
you
said
can?
that.
Okay,
That's not it.
okay.
All right, so it
This
is.
is the one that where he is drawing.
I appreciate you being nice to an old woman.
It's all right.
600, this is
Yes.
660.
660, and that's gonna be 20 feet from the property line here.
I'm more worried about how
The
far it is
distance,
between, the distance between your existing buildings.
Existing structure to the current, to the new.
Rough estimate, 200 foot, and there's a
200
creek
feet.
in between.
Is there with a creek in between?
Yes.
And how does that creek run?
It's dry most of the time if we have a really big storm. And it's got a road across it with a tin horn, so it never overflows or washes out or blocks up.
And you currently already have a road going
Yes.
from one property to the
I
other with
mow
a tin
it, I
horn
keep
going
it
over the
mowed.
creek?
Yes.
I have no more questions.
Are there other members of the audience that wish to speak in support or disagreement?
My name is Jim Reeser.
If you could come to the lectern, please, thank you.
My name is Jim Reeser. I live at 6119 South Sooner Road, the property that butts Kelly on the north side. I have 2.5 acres in there next to his 5. Kelly and I have been neighbors ever since he moved up there. I'm not sure how long. I've been there 38 years. I don't know how long Kelly's lived up there, but it's been a long time. And he's a great neighbor. You know, we're friendly. We don't have any kind of adversarial roles. I go over and play with his cars and airboats and boats and everything along with him. So I'm very familiar with the layout. The way that his property is arranged, as he says, he has a road that goes back to the back side of his 5 acres. There's also, between he and I, a fairly significant amount of trees. And while I can walk up to my south fence, I still wouldn't be able to see that building from my property.
That was my question.
And I live, my house is probably offset 100 feet from the road. I'm not really sure how far, but it's probably 100 feet. So back that far and then looking south into Kelly's property, I still won't see it because of all the trees. It would be no problem for me whatsoever for him to put this piece of, the storage building up. Might even increase property values, who knows? As more developed property.
Maybe. They're building a lot of nice houses around there.
I think we'll go there.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board?
Are all of you folks here in favor of this? Is that why you're all here?
Yes.
It's your turn.
I have finished my questions. If nobody has any additional questions,
I
then
have a motion.
the chair will entertain a motion to either approve or disapprove.
You're first.
I second it. Are you waiting for a second?
No,
I'm
we're
waiting
waiting for
for
a
a
motion.
motion.
Okay. Oh,
Shouldn't come from the chair.
I
So,
move for a motion that we either approve or disapprove.
no, we need to pick one.
Pick one or the other.
Oh, I thought we got the
I don't
motion.
know.
One or the other.
I don't either.
She's in training.
Where's my tiny Arizona?
Motion to approve or disapprove.
I say approve because I see it as country, but you
That's
all,
exactly right. It's country.
So is that in a form
I
of a
second the
motion?
motion.
Okay, so that's a form of a motion to approve
All
as submitted?
All
As-
those in favor of the motion to approve the variance as requested, please say aye.
I,
Aye.
I abstain.
You abstain?
I abstain.
An abstention is the same as a no vote. So that would be 3-1. The code requires a 4-1 vote, so basically it would be denied, just so everybody understands.
Denied or tabled
Denied,
tonight?
yeah.
I thought you were here to break ties.
No, I do not have anything with that.
So you understand what just happened?
No, I don't.
We do not have full membership of the board. And state law requires that
You have to
We
have
have
4 yes votes.
4 yes votes,
Yeah.
supermajority. And because we don't have 4 yes votes, then it automatically becomes a denial.
But this will go to, or will it go
No.
to?
No.
Council?
No, you are the final say.
But
Well,
it's my understanding that he can resubmit this if we have once we have a 5-man board.
no.
No?
No, there's provisions in the code that there's a certain time frame that has to be met before a similar application can be applied for. If he were to change the application to where it is not the same, then he could reapply.
Perhaps
If-
a smaller
Yeah.
building.
Now, one thing I will say too, that I explained to the board beforehand, but also to the general public, and I can talk to the gentleman a little bit after this, the accessory structures ordinance in its entirety is going to be going to the planning commission for review and amendment, and it is in hopes to address some of the restrictiveness of the current ordinance. That will be going to the March Planning Commission meeting, which is March 12th. That will then be a recommendation from them and eventually to the city council. So there could potentially be relief in the future based on the amendment that could be coming forth with the accessory structures. So there's also that possibility as well.
So the recommendation would be that you, 1, wait until the planning commission makes a decision on changing the ordinances, which could happen in the next couple of months. Then it would have to become effective in law. Or wait until you're
Or make a change to
Yeah.
your request.
or wait until there's the 5th body is seated on this commission, make a slight change to your request, file a new variance request, and it'll go before a 5-person board instead of the 4.
But that doesn't mean that it'll pass.
No, it does not, but it
doesn't.
opens
But-
an opportunity that if it's a
Correct.
4-1 vote, it could, so,
Correct.
but it could go 3-2.
So
Yes, sir.
Is there something we can do to address your concerns, ma'am?
Well, my concern is the size of the building.
Right. But unfortunately, the vote has already been taken and transpired, so we can't back up, so to speak.
Can I make a statement?
Yes.
Okay, I've never been, my name is Jim Ham, I've been a builder here since 1975. Never been to one of these. This man was shot down before he ever come in. You knowing that it has to be a 4-to-1 vote, but you have only 4 voting members. How's that fair?
Well, we don't talk together before we get
I
here.
don't care.
We don't know.
Well,
Well,
I don't care.
those are
If
those
it's
are
gotta be a
city
4-to-1,
ordinances.
Should there not at least be 5 voting members up there before you have this discussion?
We have the minimum amount necessary, which is 4, in that, and so it was a vote that was taken. It could have easily been 3-2, it could have been 2-3. I don't know what to tell you. I can tell you that everything was met, and as was indicated, there's no decision processes that are made beforehand. It's at the time that the meeting is held. It's unfortunate, it could potentially be unfortunate that one was missing, but that's not anything that we can do. If one of the members had not shown up, we wouldn't have had a meeting at all.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
My name's Don McBride with Logan County Asphalt. Could he not withdraw this for tonight?
No, because action's already been taken. Yeah, yeah. That's why I said if he wanted to resubmit a different application, there is that opportunity. The exact same application cannot be heard for a certain time frame. I'd have to look. I think it's 6 months or maybe a year. I don't remember which one it is in that. So there is a time frame. And a lot of that is put into place so we don't continually keep getting the same application monthly.
It is to your advantage that whatever we do, we follow state law, because the next appeal process to our decisions is district court by a district judge. And if we don't follow the law as prescribed, then our decision can easily be overturned by an opposition party before a district judge because we didn't follow the law, rather than being decided on the merits of the case.
I would like to explain my vote, my non-vote. It
Can
is.
I just say one thing before
Sure.
you do that? So, on Foster Road.
Would you come to the microphone, please, sir? Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
So on Foster Road, which is less than a half a mile from where I live, there's a man, his name's Art Atkinson, lives there, about 2.3 acres over there.
Yep.
Built a 2-story house, already had a shop on it. He built a detached 2-car garage, so that put him out of the variance. Then he ended up building another metal building, and he had to come to get a variance. That's the whole reason that I'm up here, is because it was
Property
granted.
with the red barn on it
No,
as well?
it is a blue house, and it has a blue detached garage, has a brown metal barn that was on there when he bought the property to the east of his house, and then to the west, he built another shop. So technically, he has 3, and so his was approved on a lot smaller acreage of land than I have.
I don't know how long ago that happened.
It was less than a year ago. Yeah, it's
I
brand new
wasn't
house.
here.
I don't
None
recall
of us
it being
recall.
approved by this
Yeah.
commission.
But
I don't
let-
Yeah, I'd
recall
have
the
to look.
application.
Yeah.
I can say that there's a lot of structures out there and properties out there that are now legal non-conforming properties due to the current ordinances in place. And most of them would not be able to build anything larger or more accessory structures given the current ordinance. So, not going to deny that they exist out there, because anytime you have an ordinance come in place, anything that doesn't meet it, if it was done at the time legally, it's considered legal non-conforming. So there are some out there. Now, also on a variance, it is an individual property type thing. So just because a variance for a similar type thing was approved on one property doesn't always necessarily correlate that it will automatically be approved for another property, because there are, differences to the variance, to the situation, to the property. So again, just, as information.
So how can you say it's fair if you grant it for one, then don't you have to grant it for all?
No,
We don't
that's what
even-
I'm saying is
We
it's on
don't even
an,
know if it was granted.
right.
I
It's
know-
possible
well,
that it was
You're
just
going off my
built.
word, and I thought Art was gonna be here today, but
If it's the one I'm thinking of, I can't I would have to look, but I think there was a variance, and it was probably more than a year ago in that, but, because last year we had 2 variances altogether, and that was from January through December, so it was definitely before this ordinance. But I don't remember, but I believe there was one, and it wasn't a variance. I believe it was a special use permit that went through maybe the planning commission and city council to allow for the metal. It wasn't because of the size or the number and that, because the current ordinance wasn't in place at that time.
I'm serving my second 3-year term.
Right.
And in that period of time, I don't recall a
Right.
variance request coming to this board that fits the criteria you've just
It could have
described.
gone through planning commission.
Yeah, that's why I
Gone to the
said-
planning
They're completely
commission as a
different.
zoning
Yeah.
change,
Yeah.
but it didn't come across this board as a variance request.
I'm sorry.
No, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Let me say this. You can come back with a different plan, and what I would like to see is a lower profile.
Explain lower profile. to
Well,
me.
when you have, I've seen these buildings, as a matter of fact, if you just drive on down around to Foster Road and Lakeside Drive, you'll see the big white elephant sitting out there. 2,500 square foot building with a roof line that can be seen from across the lake. So what I'm asking, or perhaps you would consider, is if you reduce, I'm hoping I'm correct, if you reduce your square footage a bit, it'll also bring down the height of the building, or you could just adjust the height of the building.
So,
That's all I'm saying, because once you put that in there, and I know that there is some people that have bought a lot of land behind you. He's mowing down every tree out there. Pretty soon, everyone who lives in the development and can see the top of that big building.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it should move on. After the meeting, if you want to talk and that, we can discuss, happy to talk to you and that. But basically, the decision's made, so we probably should move on with the agenda in that. And again, if there wants to be conversations after the meeting, that's fine.
I do have one question for the Mr. Chairman. I want some clarification just for myself. And that is, as soon as if the ordinances on March 12th wind up going through, and then the city winds up going forward with that, at that point in time, then this board could wind up reviewing, he could wind up bringing this back before the board. Is that not correct?
No, not necessarily. What I'm saying is we're looking at amendments because staff will admit it's a very restrictive ordinance, especially for larger properties. So we're going to be moving it forward for discussion because we have had other citizens that have wanted to build accessory structures in general and not even of that large of a quantity that cannot because it's it was prohibited or they could not. So again, we're moving it forward. So based on that, there could be, in the end, the ability to build what he wants per code, not needing a variance. Now, again, it could turn out differently, and then he could be back in the same realm. I don't know. Again, we have the Planning Commission and the City Council to have that discussion, and again, on the ordinance amendment.
And is that a public?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Open to the
Yeah,
public where
definitely.
someone could wind up
Yeah.
attending?
In fact, I would highly encourage everybody in the audience to come to that because the more people that would give input and in essence have concern, that goes a long way for the commission as well as the city council.
Swaying the vote, so to speak.
Well, yeah, and it's always good to have public input because a lot of times if people don't show up, they truly don't know what the public wants, desires, and that. And that's really how we should be amending the ordinance to a manner that is going to be what the community wants and is going to, if you want to say desire and like, not so much what, one particular person or, even what I want. It should be a community decision.
What is the date of the planning commission?
March 12th, 5:30, same place as we are right now.
For sale?
Mr. Watson, I'd suggest you attend that planning commission meeting. And if it has to go at that point before the city council, I would suggest you attend that as well. you may not need a variance depending upon the outcome of those two. Are there any other comments or questions from the audience?
Nope, I move we adjourn.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.